Professor V. Muralidhar is serving as head, Department of Mathematics, Mohammed Satak College of Arts and Science, Chennai. He has 23 years of teaching experience. He has attended 3 international and 5 national conferences. He was a resource person at the Mohammed Satak Teachers Training College in Chennai in 2012, where he spoke on History of Mathematical Genius Ramanujan. He was elected Academic Counselor, University of Madras during 2003-06. He has attended the Orientation and Refresher courses at the Academic Staff College, University of Madras. He specializes in stochastic modeling and has rich experience in discrete mathematics, operations research, statistical methods, and numerical analysis.
Welcome to UGC lecture series. In the preceding class, we have seen the important measure of dispersion, that is quartile deviation. We have seen different types of distributions, like for discrete distribution how to determine the quartile deviation, and for the case of your simple frequency distribution we have seen how to determine the quartile deviation and its coefficient. Now today in this series we continue from the last session. So today for simple continuous frequency distribution we will see how to calculate the quartile deviation. So for example, first you start with to find the quartile deviation and its coefficient for the following data. So you are given wages in rupees per day, and similarly the number of wage earners are given, and in this data you are given class interval with break of series, that is less than 35, 35 to 37, 38 to 40, 41 to 43 and greater than 43. Correspondingly the number of wage earners are given like 14, 62, 99 etc. and then for greater than 43 you are given the wage to be number of workers to be 7. Now in this series when you want to calculate quartile deviation you have to form the table, where the table should contain wages in rupees per day and frequency f, and correspondingly you have to determine the cumulative frequency. So first one cumulative frequency you get 14, then 14 plus 62 you got 76, plus 99 you got 175, plus 18 you got 193, plus 7 you got 200. Now after determining the cumulative series you have to take the to determine the quartile deviation. So quartile deviation is given by Q3 minus Q1 by 2, where Q3 is third quartile and Q1 is the first quartile. Since it is a continuous series, first you have to see what is the total frequency. So in the table we got capital N to be the total frequency, which is 200. Now you have to take this 200 and from this you divide by 4 for finding first quartile. So n by 4 is going to be 50. So this you have to check where it lies in the cumulative frequency column. So 50 lies between 14 and 76. Hence your corresponding cumulative frequency for Q1 class, it is going to be 35 to 37, that is called Q1 class, and in this Q1 class the lower limit is 35 and correspondingly the cumulative frequency less than 35 is 14, and the frequency corresponding to Q1 class is 62, and I denotes the length of class interval, which we determine by taking 37 minus 35, that is the upper limit minus lower limit. So I is going to be 2. Now you substitute in the first formula of first quartile, that is Q1. So you have 35 plus n by 4 is 25 minus cumulative frequency is 14 divided by 62 multiplied by 2. Hence the first quartile is 36.16. Now for determining third quartile you have to calculate 3n by 4. So multiply 3 into total frequency 200 by 4, you have 150. You check where this lies in the cumulative frequency column. So 150 lies between 76 and 175. Hence you have got the corresponding frequency to be Q3 class to be 38 to 40, and in this the lower limit is going to be 38 and correspondingly cumulative frequency less than 38 is 76, and the frequency corresponding to Q3 class, that is 99, and the length of class interval you take upper limit minus lower limit. So 40 minus 38, so it is going to be 2. Now you substitute in the formula for third quartile. So we get 38 plus 3n by 4 is going to be 150 minus cumulative frequency we got 76 divided by the frequency corresponding to Q3 class 99. Hence, and you have to multiply by the length of class interval, that is 2. So, we get the third quartile to be 39.49. Now, you substitute in the quartile deviation. Hence, we get 39.49 minus 36.16 by 2. So, we have quartile deviation to be 1.67. Now, the coefficient of quartile deviation you can determine by taking the ratio Q3 minus Q1 by Q3 plus Q1. So, we get 39.49 minus 36.16 divided by 39.49 plus 36.16. Hence, coefficient of quartile deviation is 0.044. Now, after finding the quartile deviation, we will move to another important measure of central tendency, that is standard deviation. See, the standard deviation normally we use for large population, and in this we define the standard deviation as root mean square deviation from the corresponding arithmetic mean. And we see the main difference between this one and the preceding measure of dispersion, that is mean deviation. So, here the main difference is that in the algebraic signs they are ignored while calculating the mean deviation, whereas when you compare to the standard deviation your signs are taken into account. So, your standard deviations you may have positive or negative, but in the case of mean deviation we want to see the sign, we take absolute deviations. The second one is your mean deviation is computed either for median or mean, but on the other hand when you take standard deviation we compute only from the arithmetic mean, because of the fact that the sum of the squares of deviation of items from the arithmetic mean is the least. So, there is a main difference between the mean deviation and standard deviation. Then how you compute standard deviation for different types of data? First, for individual observations we calculate standard deviation by taking square root of squared deviations of all the values of discrete values of x about their mean x bar, and if you simplify, expand and simplify, you can also represent it in this simplified version, that is square root of sigma x square by n minus sigma f x by n the whole square. And sometimes if the values of series are very big we can use deviation method also. In this case we take d to be some x minus some assumed mean capital A, so that the values will be simpler. Then you can compute d square column and substitute in this form, you can determine the standard deviation. For the case of simple frequency distribution, let us see how to compute standard deviation. So, here take the square root of squared deviation of x about their mean multiplied with the corresponding frequencies of the series, and if you simplify this we can get, for practical purposes we use this formula sigma f x square by n minus sigma f into x by n the whole square. As usual your capital N denotes the total frequency and your d denotes the deviation of values about the arithmetic mean A, and this A you can take from any of the mid values of the given series. Now, we will see for the continuous distribution. See, if it is continuous frequency distribution we will see how to determine the standard deviation. So, here we define this as the same formula root of f into d minus d bar the whole square, and here d bar denotes sigma d by n, that is average values of your d, and if you simplify for practical purposes we can use this formula, that is root of sigma f into d square by capital N minus sigma f into d by capital N the whole square, and after taking the square root you have to multiply by the width or length of the class interval, that is c, and you are here when you take a deviation subtract the assumed value a from x and divide by length of class interval c, and in the formula also we multiply by c, whereas in the preceding series we are just taking d to be x minus a and hence we are not multiplying by c. Now, let us move to some of the simple problems where we can compute the standard deviation. First of all, individual series, let us see how to compute the standard deviation. So, here we have a problem where we have to find standard deviation for the given data. So, the data is follows like this: 240, 260, 290, 245, 255, 288, 272 etc. up to 251. Since this is a discrete series where the values are very big, we can use the deviation method. So, your formula will be root of sigma d square by n minus sigma d by n the whole square, where d denotes x minus a, and before taking the deviation of values, first you have to arrange them in the ascending or descending order of magnitude. You are taking in this order, first you take the x values in the given table, second one you subtract the deviation values, that is your 264 from each of the given value of x. If you take 240 minus 264, it is going to be minus 24, 260 minus 264, it is going to be minus 4, like that you take up to 251 minus 264, that is minus 13. So, if you add all these values, your sigma d is going to be 1. So, here you have to add all the positive values and subtract from negative summation, hence we get sigma d to be 1, and you square each of this d value, you get third column, that is a d square. So, 24 square 576, 4 square 16 and 26 square 676, etc. You can go up to 13 square, which is 169, and if you take the summation, sigma d square will be 2689. Now, you substitute this in the given series. So, first if you take sigma, your standard deviation is denoted by small sigma. So, it is root of sigma f d square is 2689 divided by capital N is 10 minus sigma f d is 1 divided by capital N is 10, and if you square and subtract and simplify, you get standard deviation to be 16.398. Now, let us move to the next problem, and here we got a standard deviation to be computed for a simple frequency distribution. So, in this case you are given the class interval with the corresponding frequencies. So, each of the class interval is given as the number of wages, where wages lies in these intervals 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, you go up to 50 to 60. Similarly, the number of workers for each of this wage class is given to be 12, 17, 23, 39, etc. up to 3. Now, for this problem you have to use this formula, where this formula is for the continuous series. So, root of sigma f into d square by n minus sigma f into d by n the whole square, and the whole thing you have to multiply by the width of the class interval, that is small c, and capital N as usual denotes the total frequency, and here you take deviation to be x minus a by length of class interval, that is c. Now, you have to form the first table, where this table contains first column, that is wages given in class interval, second column denotes the mid values of each of this class interval. So, you can determine the mid value by taking upper and lower limit, add both and divide by 2. So, we get 10 plus 0 by 2, that is 5, then 20 plus 10 by 2, that is 15. So, you go up to the last one 60 plus 50 divided by 2, so you have 55. Next you have frequency column 12, 17, etc. up to 3, and you take the deviation, you subtract the value, that is 35 mid value, you subtract from each of the given mid values and divide by the length of class interval t. So, here you get minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, etc. up to 1 and 2, and here if you take the total frequency, it is given to be 110. Now, you multiply each of the frequency with the corresponding deviation values, that is d, you get minus 36, 17 into minus 2 minus 34, it goes up to 3 into 2, finally it is 6. Now, sigma f d, here also add positive value and subtract the summation of the negative value, you get sigma f d to be minus 71. Now, you square each of this d value, multiply with the frequency, you get f into d square column, that is 108, and then here you have 4 into 17, so you get 68, and minus 1 square into 23, you get 23, you go up to 4 into 3, that is 12. So, your sigma f d into d square will be 227, because you are adding the positive, all the positive values, it should be 2227. Now, we continue with the continuous series. So, for the following data we have to compute the standard deviation, and here we use the formula for continuous series, and then we have seen the table. So, in the table we have computed mid values, and then we have computed deviation values, and then we have got the last column sigma f into d square. We found the summation of f d square to be 227. Now, you substitute sigma f into d minus 71, so total frequency n to be 110, and if you substitute in this, the standard deviation will be root of 227 by 110 minus 71 by 110 the whole square, and final answer you multiply with the length of class interval, that is 10. So, the standard deviation computed is 12.83. Now, we will see some of the simple and important properties of standard deviation. First one is, whenever you take standard deviation for two groups, how to compute the standard deviation? We denote this by subscripts, that is sigma 1 2 standard deviation for group 1 and group 2, and here the formula is correspondingly it is root of n1 into sigma 1 square plus n2 into sigma 2 square plus n1 into d1 square plus n2 into d2 square divided by n1 plus n2, where this denotes the total frequency of the two groups, and here sigma 1 and sigma 2 denote standard deviation for the first group and standard deviation for the second group, and d1 d2 denotes the difference of deviation of each of the given groups from the corresponding mean x1 2 bar. d1 will be modulus of x1 bar minus x1 2 bar, and d2 will be modulus of x2 bar minus x1 2 bar. And whenever I take three groups, that is group 1, group 2, group 3, correspondingly the combined standard deviation is given by this formula, where we have got three groups with frequencies to be n1, n2, n3, corresponding variance will be sigma 1 square, sigma 2 square and sigma 3 square, and d1 square, d2 square and dt square. So, if you substitute correspondingly, you can compute the standard deviation for three different groups of your data. Now, we will see the second property, the sum of the squares of deviations of items in the series from their mean must be minimum for the standard deviation. Similarly, the standard deviation is always calculated from the arithmetic mean. We want to calculate from any other measure of central tendency. The third property, standard deviation enables us to determine the great deal of accuracy where the values of frequency distributions are located. Next, we will see an important relationship between the different types of measures of dispersion. First one, we will see how quartile deviation and mean deviation are related with standard deviation. See, in a normal distribution, we have the following relations which holds good. So, this one is for the large samples, and quartile deviation is given by 2/3 of the standard deviation sigma. Similarly, mean deviation is given by 4/5 of the standard deviation sigma. Quartile deviation is the smallest one, and mean deviation is going to be the next smallest one, and standard deviation is the largest one when compared with the measures of dispersion. Next, we will see some of the important exercise problems which you can compute and check with the corresponding calculations. First, you calculate the standard deviation for the following data. So, you are given salaries of different types of persons. For 3 persons, we got salary to be 45,000. Similarly, for 5 persons, salary is 50,000. It goes up to for your 7 persons, your salary slab is 80,000. So, for this frequency distribution, how to compute the standard deviation? You can compute and check up with the corresponding formulas. Second one, standard deviation for the second type of series, where we are given the continuous series, that is class interval 20 to 25, 25 to 30, you go up to 45 to 50, and for each of this class interval you are given the number of persons for each slab 170, 110, 80, 45, 40 and 35, and for this you have to compute and use the continuous series formula for standard deviation and check up with the answer. Standard deviation is 10.35 and correspondingly for the second one it is 7.936. Now, the next important measure of relative measure is going to be coefficient of variation. Normally, we use this for comparison of any two types of data. It is defined as relative measure of dispersion, which is used to compare the variability of two or more than two series. Also, we can call it as the ratio of standard deviation with the mean multiplied by 100 and which is expressed in percentage, and symbolically we write like this: CV is equal to standard deviation by mean into 100. Now, let us see how to compute for different types of problems. So, in the following problem, you calculate the arithmetic mean, standard deviation and its coefficient of variation for a simple frequency distribution. So, here you are given x values and the corresponding frequency. So, for this to compute the standard deviations, you have to take x values and take the deviation, because the values are big. So, you apply the deviation method by taking 51 and subtract from each of the given values of x. Actually this 51 is nothing but the arithmetic mean x bar, which is obtained by taking the summation of all x values and divide by the number of values. So when you subtract 51 from each of x value, you get minus 18, 3, 1, etc. up to 49 minus 51 you get minus 2. So sigma x is going to be, we have two things, one is small x and this one is capital X. So small x denotes the deviation value, capital X denotes the given series. So sigma small x is going to be 0. Now you take a sigma of your squared value of each small x. So if you square each of the small x, you get 18 square 256, 3 square 9, 1 square 1, you go up to minus 2 whole square, that is 4. So sigma of small x square will be 350. Now you take a second type of series, that is y. So you have 108, 107, you got up to 101. So summation of the series is 1050, you divide by the number of values, you get the mean to be 105. So if you subtract each of this mean value of y from capital Y, you get small y, and small y you take the summation, you get 0, and if you take small y square, square each of the small y, you are going to get sigma y square to be 40. Now your mean is going to be, for the first series it is 51, and correspondingly the sigma x denote the standard deviation for the x series, and it is given by root of sigma x square by n minus sigma x by n the whole square. So 350 divided by number of values is 10 minus sigma small x is going to be 0, so you get 0 here. So 5.916. Similarly corresponding coefficient of variation for the x series will be sigma x by mean into 100. So you get 5.916 divided by 51 into 100. So coefficient of variation for the first type of series is 11.6%. Now for the second series, if you see, your mean value is sigma y by n, so 1050 by 10, so we get 105, and the standard deviation for y series, it is denoted by sigma suffix y. It is defined as root of sigma y square by n minus sigma y by n the whole square. So first you take the value of sigma y square, which is 40, and the n denotes the number of values, and sigma y is going to be 0. So if you simplify, the standard deviation for y series is going to be square root of 4, which is 2, and the coefficient of variation for y series will be sigma y by y bar into 100. So 2 divided by 105 into 100, you get 1.905%. So generally coefficient of variation we express in terms of percentage. Now your next problem, we have got two brand of tires which are tested with following results. So in this, first column denotes the life period, which is given in 1000 miles, between 20,000 miles to 25,000 miles, 25,000 miles to 30,000 miles, etc., 40,000 miles to 45,000 miles, and he has given the corresponding x series to be 1, 22, 64, 10 and 3, and second one you are given the y values 0, 24, 76, 0 and 0, and for these two type of brand we have to check which brand is a better brand. See which brand of tires have average life, that is going to be the first question. Second sub question is compare the greater variability and which brand is going to be more variable and which brand is going to give you the smallest one. So you have to compute both. By comparing, you have to find which brand is going to be the greatest variability and which brand is going to be of the fleet of trucks. So that you have to determine. Let us have a small calculation. You got a first column life period, second column denote the mid value, where as usual you take lower and upper limit and divide by 2. So 20 plus 25 by 2 you get 22.5, 25 plus 30 by 2 you get 27.5, etc. 40 to 45 you get 85 by 2, so 42.5, and correspondingly frequency for the x series you got 1, 22, etc. up to 3. So the total frequency is 100. So you apply deviation method by taking mid value to be 32.5, subtract from each of the mid values. So that is going to give you the fourth column, where you have minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1 and 2, and this 5 denotes the length of class interval. Then f into d, multiply third and fourth column, you get sigma fd to be minus 8. Similarly square each of the deviation value, multiply with the frequency, you get the corresponding sixth column, that is 4, 22, etc. up to 12. So, sigma f into d square is going to be 48. Now, for the second type of series, you are going to have the same class interval mid values, but the frequency will be changing. This is going to be for the type 2 brand, and in this deviation you compute, multiply frequency with deviation, you get sigma f d to be minus 24, sigma f d square is going to be 24. Now, you have to compute mean and coefficient of variation for both the type of series. For the first series, your mean is going to be a plus sigma f d by n into c. So, substitute a value, that is 32.5, sigma f d is minus of minus, so you get 8, and here you got length of class interval to be 5, and if you simplify you get mean to be 32.1. Now, the standard deviation for x series, you substitute the values, you get it to be 3.441. For the coefficient of variation, standard deviation by mean into 100. So, we get 3.441 by 32.1 into 100. So, coefficient of variation for x series will be 10.72%. Similarly, for y, you compute the mean, which is 31.3, standard deviation you substitute from the table, you get 2.136. So, coefficient of variation for y series will be 2.136 by 31.3 into 100. So, we get 6.824%. So, among these two percents, for x series your coefficient of variation is more. First type of brand is going to be the more variable, and the best or the consistent state of brand will be y series, where its coefficient of variation is the least, 6.824%. So, this is the second part. Coefficient of y is going to be less than coefficient of x, hence you are going to have y brand to be more consistent, and it should be preferred for the use. First subdivision, your greater average life is going to be for the brand x. Now, let us see some of the merits and demerits of measure of dispersion. First one is, you can find the combined standard deviation for 2 or more groups. For other types of measure, this is not possible. For comparison of 2 or more variability of data, you can determine coefficient of variation, which is going to be the most appropriate, but the other type of based on mean and standard deviations, they are not that much appropriate. For third one, standard deviation is most prominently used in the further statistical works. And what are the demerits? When compared with the other measures, standard deviation is difficult to compute. See, you have to take the deviation, you have to square the deviation, multiply and simplify, so the computation is difficult. For second one, it gives more weight to extreme items and less weight to those which are nearer to the mean. And you have some of the simple exercise problems which you can compute and check with the corresponding answers. First one, calculate standard deviation and coefficient of variation for the following continuous series. So, the answer is 16.89 for standard deviation and CV is 23.2%. For the second type of problems, you are given the two types of teams for which number of goals are given. So, you have to compute which team is going to be the best one and more variable. So, if you see the answer, for B it is more variable and for A it is going to be the consistent variable. So, you can compute and check up with the answer. Now, let us have a small summarization. In this lecture series, we have seen standard deviation, their properties and some important problems for different types of series, coefficient of variation and how it is used to compare the data and their consistency and variability. Thank you.